This Jardin series, ooh, she's criminally underrated, and I love, if you never tested the Jardin series, Jardin sur le Nil, Jardin sur le Toit, you have to try them out. The whole series is actually pretty good, especially if you like artsy fragrances. You want summer, spring to be a little different, a little watery. Elena, if you like Elena's style, you are going to love the Jardin series. It's not for everybody, but today I'm going to be reviewing the newest of the series and the last of the series, this one called Le Jardin de Monsieur Lee. My favorite part of this scent, it's how Elena makes that watery accord. It's so unique. So if you do see this in a store, just test it out and try out that watery aspect. I'm not even saying it's aquatic, it's just watery, it's pond-like. A lot of greenness, yet wet. Beautiful. What's going on, YouTube fragrance family? Welcome to another Robes 08 fragrance review. Today I'm going to put my nose on the house of Hermes. I love putting my nose on this house. One of my favorite designer houses, especially if you're looking at this house back in the 90s. It was close to dying in the fragrance game. They plucked up Monsieur Helena and they were back on the map immediately. This fragrance today that I'm going to be delving into is part of the Jardin line, very underrated. Not much talk about the brand. Jardin sur le Nil is the, I would say, the most talked about. There's a book based on it. It is, depending on who you talk to, is probably the best of the line. For me, it makes most of my top 20 list as far as spring and summer. But this newest one, Le Jardin de Monsieur Lee, is definitely an interesting one. So keep it tuned in and I'm going to review this bad boy. Le Jardin de Monsieur Lee hit the shelves in 2015. Bottle sizes are the 1.7 ounce and the one you see here, the 3.4 ounce bottle. Concentrations eau de toilette. Pricing, Hermes fragrances retail, they'll gouge you. $90 to $140 to purchase this fragrance, American retail. Find deals online. You can find this for well under $100 when you go to a discounter. So that is your best bet. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of the fragrance review, I want to thank my partner FragranceX.com that supplied me with this fragrance right here. You can find the whole Jardin line on FragranceX.com under $100, way better than retail. You can utilize my code ROBES08, you get 15% off. A great deal, especially a lot of Hermes fragrances. If you go retail, they're $100+ retail. So a great time to get them on discounters, especially Fragrance X, of course. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. First and foremost, the nose behind this, my favorite perfumier of all time, Mr. I hope you're enjoying your retirement, Jean-Claude Helena. He was the man that brought Hermes fragrances back to life, in my personal opinion. Yeah, you can have your own opinion, but I think without him, Hermes with their fragrance brand, I don't know where they would be today. So Helena brought them back, and I'm very happy. Of course, every time I delve into an Helena scent, it's more of a journey for me, especially for the art of it, and especially I know his background, all the scents he's done in the past, so I could see how he paints a picture. Helena always a little artsy with his fragrances, which I love. Notes, let's take a look at the note breakdown for this fragrance, and as you can see, not much here. We got kumquat and mint in the opening. In the mid, we got a floral jasmine, and in the base, we have white musk and sandalwood. So not much for the note breakdown. Major notes to this nose right here. The jasmine will be a big player in this fragrance. The kumquat, and of course the white musk, which is going to end the whole thing. Group, yeah, they classify it as an aquatic, and I can see it's got a watery feel to it. Again, it's not your typical aquatic. You know, all those designer aquatic fragrances. This is more like a, how can I say, when Helena does this, and he does it with Jardin sur le Nil, it's almost like a pond-like aquatic. It's not like watery aquatic, if you know what I mean. It's not a lake, it's a pond. There's a lot of greenness, there's some leafiness to it. It's very, very interesting, and that's where I go in the artsy side of things with his fragrances. And this one definitely has that aquatic feel to it, that watery feel to the fragrance. I absolutely love that. Now, how many sprays and wear? How many sprays do I wear this fragrance? My typical one on the chest before I put any clothes on, and then 2 on the neck. So every time I do 2 on the neck, it's 1 on each side here, and of course 2 on the arm. So I'm wearing a long sleeve. I pulled back the sleeves, but you can see my inner elbows aren't showing. So I'll do it on a near a pulse point here. I try to stay away from over here, just because when I'm washing my hands, things like that, you know, it's a busy part of my body, so I like to put it here. And of course, what am I doing? I can smell it right now. I got to do the initial spray, of course, on my hand to remind me of this introduction, which I can smell definitely right now. Ooh, she's fresh. This fragrance has a backstory to it. Sometimes those are fun. Sometimes they don't match the scent, but most of the time they do. And I love that a backstory goes with the scent. It kind of puts you in a place. I know firsthand that Hermes, Jean-Claude Helena likes to go to certain places to actually go with the backstory. So he goes on trips and just basically sniffs out the air and sees what is going to inspire him to make his next fragrance. So that is something that I know from the backstory of it. And a lot of you may not be interested in that, but for me, it's very interesting that he goes on trips like this and does some research, brings back certain items from his trips to try to bottle it for all of us. So what was this one inspired by? Well, it was inspired by a Chinese garden. You know, ponds, jasmine, wet stones, bamboo, kumquats, plum trees. Damn, that sounds, it smells nice. It smells actually something like I could just read a book and put this on and it would just bring me down a notch a little bit. And this is a Jean-Claude Helena quote. So he said this is what inspired him. Reportedly, the final fragrance of the Hermes Jardin collection. So, this is the final step of the Jardin series. I really, really want to get my hands on it and sniff it out. So let's see what Monsieur Helena did for his final chapter in the Jardin collection. So going back to this introduction, you know what? Let's do it. I've been talking too much now that first impression. Let's go back to it. Watery, green. There's citruses here popping a little bit. Orangey, almost orangey-like. And again, I'm going to get into my description. But from first sniff, as usual, Jean-Claude Helena style, it's minimalistic yet at the same time complex. The citrus opens this scent as almost a, I would say almost a bergamot, zesty orange, which is kind of muted in the fragrance. Like it doesn't really jump out. It is there, but it really does step back quite a bit. The use of kumquat may be something that Helena wanted to project as it is used in flavored teas. It's a sweet flavor, it's lemony, it's almost like a piney scent that isn't too strong but shines in this one. It really does kind of project a zesty orange bergamot-like feel, but it also has like a flavored tea-like feel to the fragrance. And of course, kumquat gives the sweetness to the fragrance, and this fragrance does have some sweetness to it, and that's where I get that lemony feel to the fragrance. It's the kumquat that's kind of throwing that out. I love how the Jardin line at times brings a watery aspect that no other perfumier can do, and this is something that I've never really smelt in any other perfumier than Jean-Claude Helena can do this. This one right here steals a huge page on the best-selling from the Jardin line. This one, Un Jardin sur le Nil. This one, highly recommended for me. I have a full-fledged review on this. Made multiple top 10s. Made almost top 5 on some lists of mine. So something that I absolutely love wearing. So it takes a huge page from Jardin sur le Nil, and that's a good page to steal. First sniff brings me close to a pond. It's watery, very watery. It's floral too. It's almost like Jardin sur le Nil, almost like a water lily type feel. Good amount of greens here, not necessarily mint. I know mint is in the notes. I don't feel like a minty feel to the fragrance. More leafy, more stems of flowers than a mintiness to the fragrance. It is fairly green. I know that it has like a weird yellowish color to the fragrance. I would put this as almost a, I'm not going to say lime green, but a green, but like with sap a little bit with it. Like a water lily, maybe like a pond. It really has that green blueness to the fragrance. The jasmine itself in Monsieur Lee perhaps is Hédion. Hédion is a compound that Monsieur of course, Elena utilizes quite a bit in his fragrances. It's a synthetic that Monsieur Elena uses quite a bit. He uses it in a lot of his fragrance. I got a couple here on the side. Sorry being off cue here, but he utilizes quite a bit of Herion in L'Eau d'Hiver here. This is a niche fragrance, of course, Frédéric Malle. L'Eau d'Hiver, a very good fragrance, but big time use of it in that. Also, he utilizes it in Voyage here for Hermes, and of course, one of his top sellers here, Terre d'Hermes, of course. Jardin de Monsieur also utilizes it, just to name a few. Quite a bit. It's something that Monsieur Elena utilizes really, really much. And what he utilizes this compound for, this compound smells citrusy. It smells fresh and green. Almost has a fizziness to the scent, and this is what this is describing this. Really citrusy, green, fizzy, watery, pondish like. It really does start off herbal, aromatic, lemony, and a jasmine-like floral here, with the coolness of a cool, brisk, watery feel. It almost feels like being close to the pond. You got a whole bunch of greenery around you. A lot of small florals, stems, things like that that I'm trying to picture here. And there's a small, brisky wind that's coming through. And that's it. That's the kind of imagery that I'm getting with this. Is more floral, more of a pond-like feel. And again, Japanese pond, bang on. Chinese garden type of thing. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm getting. Now in the dry down, it continues on to the freshness. It really takes a bit of that soapy edge that you were getting in the introduction. It just gives you a little pinch of it. Now that soapy edge quality is pushing itself more as more of a secondary accord in this whole idea of a fragrance. It has a little bit of tinge of sweetness here. You can apply that to either the jasmine, you can apply that to the kumquat and white musk. They all utilize a little bit of sweetness in all of these. So you can utilize either way. There's a little bit of sweetness in this fragrance. There's a white musk here that gives you that, white musk can give you a soapy quality, a white-like quality to the fragrance, a soapy quality. So it may remind some users, and I've seen this before, that it reminds some users of a floral hairspray, which may turn some people off. It's a soapy, clean, citrusy jasmine with a white musk ending of a scent. The best part of Monsieur Lee is the same as Jardin Solennel, with its watery aspects. I really feel like that's, maybe it's the artsy feel of me in fragrances that I just feel like, oh my God, no other perfumier has done a watery aspect like this. It's unmatched by any other creation. It brings me to the vegetal green, water lilies, locust leaf, and very watery. I felt like Elena kind of threw in a little one of his tricks here that he utilizes quite a bit in some of his fragrances, almost like a little flinty accord, mineral accord in the dry down of this fragrance. It's a trick that I love seeing from him, and he uses it in many of his best scents. It's not as prominent in this fragrance here, but still gives the scent some depth. And that's the thing with Elena. You always put Elena minimalistic, right? There's not much to his fragrance. But once you start really delving into, and you look at the note breakdown, that doesn't mean squat. Once you start delving into these fragrances, especially when you're looking at it and not as just a scent, but as an art form, you can tell that there's a lot of work put into these fragrances. And that's something that I always respect on an Elena fragrance. Doesn't mean it's going to get a 10 out of 10. You know, not too many Elenas get 10 out of 10. So there's a handful that will get it. Well-deserved ones. So let's get into the recommended age. So for this fragrance, it's unisex. First of all, men, women, doesn't matter. Just because it says Monsieur in the name, people say, oh, that's gentleman, isn't it? Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. It's very unisex. I would almost gear to say this is more of a feminine fragrance than the rest of the Jardin line. So it's, I would say, age range 20 plus. I don't think a teenager. I think this is more constructed as someone that would appreciate more of the art form of fragrances than anything. So 20 plus. Fragrances, what does it remind me of? It really doesn't remind me of anything in the game. the closest thing is most of the Jardin series. He plucks a lot of what he's done in the past to build this one. And that's just something that comes with the territory. I've smelled so many Jean-Claude Helenas that I know his patterns. And he stole a lot of from Jardin sur le Nil, one of his best sellers from the Jardin line. So maybe he was trying to hit a double home run here, knowing that Jardin sur le Nil is so well liked. Best time to wear this fragrance would have to be casually. I loved wearing this casually. Jeans, t-shirt, doesn't matter. I can wear this at work with a suit on, studying. I like this Jardin line because it helps me focus. I'm going for a walk, just things like that. Daily wear type of scent. Seasons, mostly spring and summer. Again, it doesn't stop you from wearing it the other seasons, but mostly geared for spring and summer. Development, linear, average, or complex. Average. It does have some complexity to it, and it has some good development to it, so I would have to say average. Work appropriate? Yes. I've worn this quite a bit at work. Signature scent worthy? Yes, of course it could be. If you fall in love with this scent, you can wear this at almost any occasion. Dress it up, dress it down. Especially if you're living in a warmer climate. This can be right up your alley. So let's get into my rating system. Let's take a look at it. Projection, 5 bottles out of 10. Not the best score in the game. It's very much average as far as projection goes. I would gear to say that is one of the worst of the Jardin line as far as projection goes. I didn't feel like this one pushed as much as, you know, Jardin sur le Nil. Some people wear this and they go, yeah, there's not much push to this fragrance. And then 10 hours later, somebody smells them and they're like, maybe there is. So projection, 5. Longevity, 7 bottles out of 10. Again, these things, you feel like they're very weak on your skin. They're not too bad. So 7 bottles out of 10. It gives me a good 6 to 8 hours when I wear it. Compliment factor, this is where this is going to get a fairly low score of 3 bottles out of 10. While testing this one out, I got hardly anything in regards to it. I really don't think this is going to be one of those compliment beasts. It was more of a personal taste as a fragrance than anything else. Uniqueness, 7 bottles out of 10. Again, it has an air of uniqueness to the fragrance, but again, if you know or you own a lot of Helena based fragrances, this may be something that you'll skip just because it has that same type of DNA. Helena can only do this. So as far as uniqueness against the rest of the game, yeah, it's very unique. Pricing versus what you get. I'm going to give it 5 bottles out of 10. Why? Hermes pricing for retail is pretty pricey. So if you get it at a discount, you know, $50, $60, then you're looking at a better deal here. But I'm going to give it a 5 straight up. Versatility, 8 bottles out of 10. This is probably one of its strong points. It's easy to throw on. It's one of those that you don't have to think to wear. Now looking at the smell, 7 bottles out of 10. I think it's a solid release from Hermes. Not one of my favorites, I'll be honest. 7 bottles out of 10 is very solid, and I appreciate the art form, and I appreciate what Helena did with it. But that's only just personally for me, so I got to look at it as a full scope for you guys. And as far as smell goes, it's good. It's solid. It's a 7. And that goes to an overall score. This fragrance is going to get a 7 bottles out of 10. Again, I think it's a solid release from the House of Hermes. Not one of their best, not one of their worst, but I think it's a weaker fragrance from the whole brand. And that goes to buy, try, or pass. As much as this hurts me, it has to be, I gotta be truthful with you guys. And as far as an Helena scent, I don't think this is one of his stronger releases. I think this is more of a pass. If you really do enjoy this fragrance and you haven't smelt Un Jardin sur le Nil. If you haven't smelt this, but you've smelt this, smell this. I think this is a better composition. Not the same idea, but I think the great things about this fragrance pull a lot from this, and I mean a lot from this fragrance. So there is a lot of positives here, but there's a lot of things that are drawbacks. So overall, Monsieur Lee shows Helena's minimalistic style to a T. It's exactly what I come to expect from Monsieur Helena. At times, the Jardin series makes me think of almost, if you're looking at a fragrance as an art form, this is watercolors. It just feels, it's very, I'm not going to say weak, but it's beautiful, but at the same time, it's watercolors. It's transparent, it's weightless, and this is what this Jardin series feels like. It just almost feels like you're not really wearing a fragrance. It's very transparent and weightless. As usual, there's not much to the overall picture here. However, when you dissect this scent, there's complexity that is understated in Helena's scents. showing his true skills, though. I think this is a great skill for a perfumier, that it smells like there's not much to it, but when you go under the hood, holy crap, you're looking at it like, holy damn, he's showing some skills here. This fragrance, even though it's got a pass from me, it has some redeeming qualities to it. As I see, maybe more from LNS Creations than most people. He is my favorite perfumier. I know his style, and I see the things that he tries to do instead of judging this as just another perfume or another fragrance. It's a journey for me, and I really enjoyed dissecting this fragrance. And the final piece of the Jardin series brings me to being kind of indifferent to it. I don't hate it, and I don't love it. I like that I have it in my collection. Is it something that it's going to get a lot of wearings? Maybe some seasons it will. But some other seasons it's going to start collecting dust. So those are the factors that I look into when I start doing a fragrance review. So I really enjoy the artsy feel to the fragrance. Jean-Claude Ellena lovers are going to love this fragrance just like I did. And that is one thing that I have to bring to the table, is how much that I like this fragrance. And it's not an absolute love. It's not the best from the Hermes series, but it is a very solid and good release from the brand of Hermes. So I thank you for watching my review on another Hermes. I got another Jardin series under my belt here, Le Jardin de Monsieur Lee. Check it out if you haven't. Please comment below if you have smelt this fragrance, you hate it, you love it, you agree with my rating, you disagree with my rating. I love seeing those comments. And as always, remember, a great or poor fragrance will make a lasting impression. You choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching.